Hello there, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to yet another episode of Heartfelt Conversations. I'm truly excited about today's episode. It's someone very, very special who's coming on board. And the topic itself is also one that is of extreme importance to all of us in the corporate world. Whether we're entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, working for corporates, or just independent freelancers, I think executive presence is essential and it can make or break difference in your long-term career. So I'm really thrilled to have with us Mridu Bhandari here. But before I bring her on stage, a little bit about myself. As all of you troop in, just to remind you that I'm Vikas Dua, an HR professional by day and a podcaster by night. Actually, not a podcaster just on the weekend once in a while. It's been a great journey so far. Started in this conversation series a few weeks ago and been very, very lucky to have some very special people come on board and share their insights. The idea is to help us all gain knowledge and grow together so that we can build long term, successful, and fulfilling careers. Mridu Bhandari is someone who's really going to throw a lot of light on this very, very special topic. And I'm so thrilled to have her on with me today. It's very
Thank,
difficult to. Sorry, Mridu. Welcome to the show.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Very difficult to introduce Mridu, you see, because how do you introduce someone who's already so well known, who's already so well established? And I must share this, she's almost like family to us. So, Mridu, thank you so much for honoring my invitation and adding value to my community. This session here is today, I'm really, is something I've really been looking forward to. And for those of you who possibly not 100% aware of the length and breadth of what she does, I must let you know that she's a well-known journalist. She's worked with some marquee brands like CNBC TV 18, Forbes Digital, Money Control, ET Now, and Network 18. And over the years, she's not only been a producer, she's been an editor, she's been a TV anchor, and she's front-ended all ventures on the media front. Whether it's traditional TV, whether it's digital journalism, whether it's content creation, she's dabbled in all. And not only that, Mridu is someone who's highly accomplished and recognized and also awarded. So most recently, just 2 years ago, she earned the distinction of being a Chevening Scholar, and she was the only Indian journalist to win that coveted scholarship. She went on to
She
do
went
the
on to
program
do the
at
program at
UCL. And interestingly, she also was on the dean's list for outstanding academic performance. So clearly, she does whatever she does with a lot of passion. Not to be left behind or not to be less valued, she was also the awardee of the Ramnath Goenka Award for Excellence in Journalism in 2008. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Vidhu, I think you were the youngest journalist that year to get this award. Am I right?
Yes, yes, at that time. Yeah, I was.
Amazing. So great track record, Midhu, and really thankful to you for joining us today to talk about executive presence, clearly the need of the hour. And, before I pass on you to the audience, I just want to thank them for taking out some time to come in to spend their time with us. And uh, just would like to invite them to share in the comments as to how they are feeling today, because I'm super excited. But at the same time, I'm also super nervous, Mridu, because you're someone I've always admired, and someone who's really literally hung out with the best of the best, and you interviewed such stalwarts across business, showbiz, sports. And today I am sitting across the screen from you. Believe me, my the hair on my arms is all standing up. So I
Trust,
hope.
trust me, trust me, I'm more nervous than you, Vikas, because usually I'm the one asking the questions. And I think it's much more easier to just ask questions and then leave the other person to give the answers. So I think you're safe. I should be nervous today.
Great, great. So lovely. Let's kick in to the session, and I know a few people have already joined in. Let's add value to their lives, like we decided to. So why don't you just update us first about what you've been doing in the recent past, and how you landed up where you are today.
Thank you, firstly. Thanks for having me, for inviting me here on your very cool show. And I love the name Heartfelt Conversations. It is such a nice non business news title that I absolutely love it. And it is actually, it strikes a chord with people. So thank you for having me and for inviting me here. And well, most recently, I'm the founder of Mentorleap, which is a boutique career acceleration platform. So when I went to London to study on a Chevening scholarship, I did a master's in entrepreneurship, and I started working on Mentorleap as an idea. And to be honest, when I started out, I didn't have a plan as such. I didn't know if I'm going to follow it through. What am I going to be doing with it? It has pivoted a few times. And now I'm settled with the thought that I want to help working professionals and founders really level up their communication game and accelerate careers using communication. So I teach working professionals and entrepreneurs how to speak with impact, how to write with impact, and I train CXOs in executive presence, which I call lead with impact, because I believe that all of these skills are really, really essential to career progress. And of course, the other hat that I wear is that of a TV journalist. I continue to do that. I continue to anchor shows on network 18 platforms like CNBC TV 18, Forbes, Money Control, etc., because that's something that I'm equally passionate about. I'm not ready to give up that part of the career journey yet. And like you said, it leads me to a lot of different places, to a lot of different people, and that in turn helps a lot with my observations for the coaching practice. So I feel that at the outset it might seem that the two are very disconnected, but for
Yeah.
me they are not, because I take learnings from my journalism and entrepreneurial journeys and bring them into coaching and skilling people. So actually, now that I look at it, the dots are very well connected. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And the most recent is my upcoming masterclass called Write with Impact. So I'm designing that these days.
Superb. In fact, that's quite a lot of things you're doing, and really, it's what the world of work is today evolving into, isn't it? And multiple kind of engagements, all serving some part of one's psychological, financial, personal needs. So super to hear that, and I think a lot of comments already dropping in terms of people being very excited about this session. And so let's dive deep into it right away. Right? Why waste time? Everyone's taken out some of their valuable minutes for us. And
Yes.
the first question I'll probably like to throw at you, Mridu, is this: that what is executive presence really all about? Because it's something that when you look at it on the face of it, almost sounds like a mythical beast. Is it just having the good fortune of getting educated at fancy schools and colleges, getting to speak flawless English, or going to an Ivy League and getting a sort of accent to carry along with you? What really is executive presence?
So actually, it's none of that. And yes, there are a lot of those misconceptions about executive presence. But to me, actually, there are six broad elements or pillars of your persona in the workplace that actually make up your executive presence. And I've coined this term called the CHEGG framework, which is, CHEG, except that the C and the G are double. So double C, H, E, double G. The CHEGG framework is what I call it. Now, each of these alphabets stands for something in your persona. The first C is for confidence. So, confidence in your abilities, confidence in your decision making, and confidence in being accountable for the decisions that you take. So, confidence is absolutely key to executive presence and not overconfidence, right? So, this is often also judged by the energy that you bring to the table. A high energy person is often looked at as more confident. It may or may not be necessarily true, but that's the perception that people get. The second C is your communication skills: how you talk, how you write, how you use your body language, how do you listen to people. That's a very essential part of communication. Are you an active listener or not? Can you convey your ideas very, very persuasively to influence people? So, excellent communication skills, another pillar of executive presence. Now, if you look at that check that I just talked about, the H in it is for humility. The best leaders in the world are those who are grounded and humble, those who recognize that they are sitting in a place of privilege. They don't take it for granted. They know that they're successful not because of themselves, but because they've had a whole village raising them to
Wow.
executive level. And all of this comes from actually being self aware and reflecting regularly. So that's three things: confidence, communication, and humility. And the next one is emotional intelligence. That's about being self aware and managing your own emotions as well as being aware of other people's emotions. So, in a tough situation, Are you going to land up in a meltdown? Hopefully not. Can you be objective? Can you look at logic? Can you still be empathetic towards other people? Now, all of this is simply put as, do you have the ability to think from the other person's perspective or to put yourself in their shoes? That's part of your emotional intelligence. And of course, it's a much deeper science in psychology. And then there is gravitas and grace. Gravitas is the sense of importance or the sense of seriousness that you bring to a situation. And grace is the poise with which you handle a tough situation. If you have to give a negative feedback to somebody or you're receiving negative feedback about yourself,
Mm.
can you be gracious enough in that situation? For your
Right.
executive presence, that is very necessary. And the final G is for grooming. How well groomed are you? And this is
Wow.
not just about the clothes that you wear. How appropriate is your dressing sense vis a vis the culture in your organization? If your culture is all about wearing hoodies, sure, go ahead. For example, on a day when I'm not anchoring a TV show in a news channel, I can wear casual linen pants, sneakers, walking to work. But when I'm in front of the camera, I'm not just representing my company. I'm not just representing my own self. I'm representing my company. So there's a business news channel. There are certain guidelines involved there. There is a style guide involved there. So I need to be dressed for it. Whether we
Right.
like it or not, the visual that we carry does contribute to the first impression that we leave on people. So, how you
Wow.
carry yourself, how you sit, stand, your body posture, all of that makes up for the final G, which is your grooming.
Amazing. And I think lovely that you put it into a formula. And dear friend Sahil has also been kind enough to put it down for the community in the comments. So this will be a helpful reminder for all of us. Thank you, Sahil.
Thank you
Really
for
nice of you
helping.
to do that. And Mridu, when you spoke about the emotional intelligence bit, you had me there at HR Mahart. So I'm going to take a sip from my new HR Mahart cup.
Absolutely, absolutely, you
Shameless,
should do
shameless plug.
that.
But
Well, someone very recently told me, if you don't promote yourself, who will? So
exactly.
you should.
But really, while I was listening to you, one of the things that really stood out for me was also the humility piece, right? And I can't help but asking you, because you met such a wide, broad spectrum of leaders, of accomplished individuals. Any specific incident about any specific person from a humility standpoint that stands out for you? And if you're comfortable, would you like to share that?
Lots,
Because
lots
I
of
think the
them.
world can do with more of that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, a lot of them. But I'll take a picture from the post that you shared today on LinkedIn. One of them was with the hockey player Dhanraj Pillai, and it was my first meeting with him. We had a wonderful conversation sitting in Gujarat. It was part of a youth festival that we were doing at a college in Gujarat, and um, and now he's someone who's super accomplished, right? And we
Hmm.
just finished this conversation, and usually I'm the one going to these people, or somebody is clicking our pictures, or my producer is saying, come, let's take a picture. And this is the first time he walked up to me and said, can I get a picture with you? And I was like, wow, like, why would Dhanraj Pillai need to have a picture with me? But it was just, he was that humble. He said, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to keep a memory of this conversation, so let's get a picture together. And that to me was really, really humble. Most other leaders would obviously not go and talk to a news anchor and say that, hey, I want a picture with you, because they are very well accomplished in their own right. So like that, there are many others, not just picture. I think there are many others, and the humility comes across not in the conversation we have on TV. It comes across in the conversations we have on the sidelines. So the way they conduct themselves, the way they treat their staff around them. In my early years, I used to cover MSMEs, and I would travel to micro, small, medium enterprises, factories, offices, be shooting with
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, and so many of them were just about hospitality and humility. And they were like, and I was just maybe 3 4 years of work ex at that point in time. But they would treat us like how people treat you when you go to Old Delhi. If you go to Old
Hmm.
Delhi shoppers, they have this old world hospitality where they'll make you eat a lot of food, and they will take care of you like you are their child.
Right.
So a lot of entrepreneurs would do that, and they didn't need to do that. I was just there for work. They didn't need to make us feel at home. And to the entire crew, not just to me because I'm the anchor or the producer, to my driver, to my production assistant, to a spot boy.
Wow.
They would be really, really nice. And those are the people I remember the most, because you always remember how people make you feel.
Superb. I think beautifully shared. And I think one thing is very clear. There are a lot of experiences and stories that you have inside you. And hopefully, during the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, we'll unlock a few more of them as we go along.
Yes.
Before I move to my next question, Mridu, I do want to let the audience know that, as always, there is a HR in My Heart book available as a lucky draw. And this time, the hashtag that you need to type in the comment box is Mridu Magic. So
Oh,
she's
how
going to
sweet.
sprinkle some fairy dust on us and help us, upgrade our executive presence. So use this hashtag, put it in the comments, and one lucky person will win a copy of my book, couriered to his or her home. So don't forget that.
Yeah, it's a
Moving,
fantastic. So
thank you so much.
please go for it, guys.
Moving back into the questions flow. So let's dive a little deeper into, what are some of the challenges that professionals face when trying to improve their public speaking skills, and when you do your workshops like you do for Mentorleap, how do you help them overcome these obstacles?
Right. So, if we're talking specifically about public speaking, I think there are a number of challenges, but the biggest and the most common challenge is called glossophobia, which is the fear of public speaking. And if you've done any Google search on public speaking, you will know that this is the number one fear that people have in the world. Death is number two, public speaking is number
Wow.
one. So, and if there's any Jerry Seinfeld fan in the house, there's a famous dialogue where he said, at a funeral, people would rather be in the casket than be doing a eulogy. So that is the level of fear that people have when it comes to public speaking. And I've spent some time thinking about this, breaking it down. And actually, when you break it down, it's a lot of small fears combined together. There's a fear of judgment, there's a fear of failure, there is a fear of a future outcome. You haven't yet gone onto the stage, but there's a fear of how that scenario will turn out. There is a fear of blanking out, which is absolutely real. There is a fear of being not good enough, and that I don't deserve to be on the stage, which is what we call imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Especially very common with women speakers, and a lack of confidence. Now, all these fears collectively lead to physical anxiety or mental anxiety. So, these are some of the big challenges. Then there are other challenges like, you know, your tone isn't right, or you're pausing, or your emphasis, or your pacing is not right. Sometimes your facial expressions are not appropriate, your eye contact is not good enough. And then there's a challenge in storytelling. So, there is, how do I craft my message? How do I get to, before I know how to say things, I should know what to say. So, which is where your writing and your storytelling skills come in. So, one part is owning the room, which is you talking,
Yeah.
and the other part is reading the room, knowing, is your audience interested? Are they bored? And there are ways to read the room as well. So, at Mentorleap, I help people identify their specific challenges, and there are many others which I'm not listing for paucity of time. And then we begin a journey. So we do a mindset shift. We learn tools, techniques, frameworks to address each of these challenges. And while doing this, we apply everything. So I give them the toolkit, and then I'm holding them accountable week on week for a month for practicing consistently. So I'm like that school teacher who will always tell you that you have to do your homework. And I will constantly nudge you and push you, and until you make it a habit, and I will give you personalized feedback. So that's what Speak with Impact, my initiative, is all about. It helps working professionals
Interesting.
and entrepreneurs speak with confidence and clarity.
Amazing. So while obviously this is for someone who wants to explore public speaking on stages in large forums, I also see the importance, being in the corporate world for now 20 plus years, now being at a level where you have to make an impact in the boardroom meetings, and in a highly, let's say, competitive environment, get your voice heard. Does executive presence and some of this communication piece also add value there?
Absolutely. So I tell everyone that I teach that this is not just for people who are going to be doing a TED talk or going
Yeah.
to be doing a talk in front of 400 people. This is equally applicable in your one-on-one conversation. So when we are talking about energy awareness, or we are talking about things like emotion tracking, being present in a conversation, all of that is equally applicable to whether you're talking to one person, whether you're talking to 50 people, or whether you're talking to 500 people. And in fact, they're not just applicable to your professional life, they are also applicable to your personal relationships. I have had homemakers on my cohorts who just came in to learn and to upskill themselves. And they've just felt that their personal communication has really gone up a few levels because they started practicing some of the things that they learned here. So, absolutely, communication is essential for any role, any level of organization, any sector, any geography. It is a skill. Actually, LinkedIn has termed it the skill of the most important soft skill of 2024 and beyond, actually. So
Wow.
it's something we all should invest in.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Thanks for bringing that to my notice. In fact, that's huge. That means, I mean, with LinkedIn saying that, I think we should all make note of that for sure. And it's interesting, when I look at it from the corporate lens, Mridu, and maybe I'm guilty as well, being in HR. I think we also look at creating workshops for our staff to do with, let's say, thinking innovatively, creatively. We look at even mental well-being workshops, which are essential, of course, and a host of other such interventions. But somehow I don't know if many organizations have actually gone down the path of helping their staff enhance their either public communication skills or broadly even executive presence, because after all, I think all of us are brand ambassadors, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And all of this benefits the organization. So, number one, it is obviously benefiting the people going through this. It's opening up leadership opportunities for you. It is opening up opportunities beyond your immediate organization, because if you're seen, you're heard at your workplace, and if you're seen and heard at third party events, your brand value goes up, your executive presence goes up, and as a result you get more opportunities. It's as good as, you have to be seen and heard to be getting opportunities in the first place, and executive presence really helps you do that. And yes, a lot more organizations need to invest in it. There are a few evolved organizations that are already doing so. A bunch of organizations I'm working with, in fact, for the very first time, an organization reached out to me and said that, can you teach email writing to our employees? They write very heavy and verbose emails, and they often lack context, and as a result business is suffering. So can you teach our sales team how to write impactful emails? Now I thought that was very nice of them to recognize that there is a
Yeah.
problem in the first place,
True.
and secondly to actually reach out and say that, can you do this for us? So yes, but I mean, are we doing enough? Not yet, no. And it's a skill that most of us, I think in today's generation, probably schools have still started giving more opportunities and started teaching all this. But in our time, schools, colleges never really taught us how to communicate. I think that just by chance, if someone communicated well, they got to be the host of the annual day show, but
Yeah.
no one really was taught how to do that.
Very right. And it reminds me of, again, my time in school, where frankly speaking, it was a very different period, sure, where the top 10 in the class were possibly picked up for public speaking just because academically they were strong. I mean, that was the strangest correlation ever, but that's how it used to happen. But I'm glad, like you rightly pointed out, when I see it with my young daughters, that their school has literally from nursery started putting them on stage and getting them to face audiences. And now, of course, the new world needs us to be even camera friendly. So is there an element of executive presence there that you're also kind of working or guiding on?
Yes, absolutely. And today the line between physical and digital has blurred so much that you have to actually have an executive presence even on screen. And I think there are a few ways on how you can do that. Number one, I would say please get into the habit of turning your camera on. It shows commitment, it shows seriousness, it enhances human connection. Already we are sitting behind a laptop, we are not in the same physical space. The least we can do is really turn on cameras while talking to people. And I know that it's inconvenient, but conversations and connections happen better when you put a face to them.
Right.
Secondly, uh, familiarize yourself with technology. So, if a large part of your professional work is happening on video calls, please know how to share screen, how to use emojis, how to say use an AI driven note taking app that can transcribe minutes of your meeting and then send it to all the participants. So keep experimenting and stay abreast with technology, because this is your main thing that's getting you your job done on a daily basis. The third one, I think you can do a hygiene check. Do you have a good background? Are you
Mm.
facing the light? You can invest in a very small ring light that's affordable. Invest in a decent quality webcam if your camera is really bad. Ensure that your audio is good. All of these things add up to your presence, because you don't want a person to have a completely different experience of meeting you online and a vastly different experience of meeting you offline. There has to be some consistency in the way you function, your messaging, your surroundings. If you're using virtual backgrounds every day in team
Right.
meetings, don't change them every day. Keep it consistent. You know, and don't forget body language just because you're in front of a laptop. Even in this box, you can use your hands, you can do
Right.
eye contact. Um, so keep that in mind.
Thank you so much for that. Very helpful. In fact, the pointer you shared about your background, try and keep it consistent for some time, and is not stuff you'll see on an online, list of things to do in a video interview or a webinar, right? So this is, I think, the value of such conversations, because we get to learn the finer tips from experts like you. So, Mridu, really appreciate you doing this once again. Lovely comments coming in. I've been putting some of them online as we speak. I hope they've not been distracting you. But
No, I'm yet
thanks.
to read the comments and we can get to the questions also
Yes,
soon.
lovely questions are also coming in. But before we do that, I just want to remind our guests that we have a book on offer, which is a lucky draw. And I already see about 9 people have decided to throw their hat in the ring. So the more the merrier. In fact, Vipul, who won the book last week, has also thrown in. So if he wins, he might just get a second copy. That's the beauty of this. So
Yeah, he'll
moving on,
probably gift it to another deserving person.
surely. So Sahil has a question here. So I'll take a break from my pre-thought questions, and Sahil would love to hear an instance when your interviewee stumped you, and how did you bounce back?
Okay, so this is a funny one, and I'm not going to take any names, but I was a little junior in my job at the time, and I went to interview a politician whose photo is not on today's LinkedIn post. Let me say that. Uh, and It was early morning. We were sitting outdoors in their lawns of the bungalow, and we were going to do his interview. My camera person is setting up the frame. I'm sitting opposite the politician. I'm just making my notes, and there's pin drop silence at 7 a.m. outside in this beautiful sunlight. And I hear a long fart. and I don't know how to react to that because I can't laugh. And I'm just pretending to continue writing, and and I try and that's where practicing a neutral face always helps. So I just practiced my neutral face, and I got up and went to my video journalist and I said, "Is the frame ready?" And both of us just shared a look, and I ensured that I don't burst out laughing, and I got back. It happens, right? I mean, it's a part of natural process, but the timing of it was quite bad. So yeah, that really stumped me, and that's an example. Yeah, sometimes I've had very tough questions thrown at me from the audience, and those stump you for a few seconds. Then you collect your thoughts and you go about answering them to the best of your abilities, or you simply say that, "I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that. I'm not the best expert for this, but I will get you an answer, and I'm going to connect with you offline." And I actually then connect with them offline and ensure that I keep up my promise and give them the answer or find someone who will give them the answer. So yeah, that happens all the time.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think the last bit resonates with me as well, because as an HR professional, when I'm guiding someone on interview preparation, I think that's one golden rule that even I guide interviewers to keep in mind, that don't bluff your way through an interview. The other person sitting across the table is not an idiot. So if you don't know something, own up to it. There's no harm. We can't know everything all the time. So I'm glad you
Yeah, I
pointed
mean,
that out.
Even the best CEOs in the world, when they are asked, say, a very technical question, they will say that, I'm so sorry, I can give you a macroscopic view of what the technology means to my business, but my CTO would be the best person to answer that question, and let me just connect you to him or her, and get your question answered. So I think there's no weakness in admitting when you don't know something, and it's actually a strength that you can own up to your weaknesses, or you can own up to things that you don't know about. uh,
Yeah.
and as long as you're getting the question answered by somebody else or some other way, then that's fine. That solves the purpose.
Superb. And I think glad that you again reinforced that, because in the corporate world, I think we face this pressure of having an answer every time that someone poses a question to us or throws a situation at us. So glad you brought that up. And Sahil, I hope that answers your question. Though, frankly speaking, I think Ridu, hats off to you for navigating the fart episode, because I don't think I can get more tougher than that to maintain a neutral face when in a situation like that. We also have a question from Ramesh Sood, sir, who's dropped in. Thank you so much, sir, for coming in. And this is a question as well, which is very relevant, because that's often something we all think, that someone is a natural born speaker or has a very outgoing personality. And how do you answer this question?
I'm trying to find the question. Were you a natural speaker, or you also had to work on overcoming fears? What was the first instance? Oh, no, I was not a natural speaker. And I don't believe there is something called a natural speaker. Everybody puts in a lot of practice. So until I actually became a journalist, until I went to journalism school, now when I think back and I connect the dots, yes, I liked participating in debates in school. I was the school head girl, so I often had to give speeches. So I did participate in those things growing up, without knowing that this is going to come in handy in my career. But again, I was not natural. I remember in school, during an extempore at another school, I blanked out on stage completely, and I spent a good 30 seconds just looking at the audience blankly and thinking, what was my topic? Uh, and then, of course, somehow it came back to me, and I said something. But yeah, I was not a natural speaker at all. And even now, I have butterflies when I go on to a live show, when I'm facing, say, a room full of 200, 500 people, where I'm walking onto the stage, the light is coming spot on to you. You are aware that, this is live televised, going to millions of people. Of course, you're a little nervous. Anyone who tells you that, oh, it's a piece of cake, it is not. But we put in the practice. And just like a skill needs practice, like, say, swimming or driving or any other skill, you learn it bit by bit by constantly practicing. It's the same with public speaking or with communication. It only improves if you keep practicing, and you can practice and be self aware of your weak points on a daily basis. So I know that, okay, if I will always critically evaluate every show that I've done. What could I have done better? Oh, I fumbled 3 times in pronunciation on this show. Let me ensure that does not happen again. Oh, I could have asked this question in a better format. Or, oh, I wasn't concise enough. I was beating around the bush while asking this question. So I will always critically analyze my own performance, and I encourage everybody to do that. We have smartphones. Go record yourself, examine yourself. And there's a very easy way to do this. Even if you record a 1 minute speech, first, just watch the whole piece once you've done it. Second time, turn off the audio and just look at your body language and see, are your hand gestures going well? Are you standing straight? Is your spine straight? Are you making eye contact? How are your facial expressions? Focus on all this. The next time, put the phone face down. Don't look at yourself. Just listen to the audio. Now you can see, you can hear how your voice was. Were you a little less on energy when you said hi, hello? When you were supposed to smile in that speech, can you hear that smile in the voice? Could you do that better? Are you evoking emotion with your voice? So these are things that you all can practice on a daily basis without getting a coach or without spending any kind of money. So I encourage everyone to kind of do that. And yeah, overcoming fears, yes, absolutely. I think post COVID, my first bout of COVID, I think my biggest fear became blanking out. because I used to have this brain fog. Sometimes I'm moderating a CXO panel discussion and somebody's saying something and I'm blanking out and having a bit of a brain fog moment and zoned out that, I'm not registering what the other person is saying. And as a moderator, I need to register every word that someone is saying and then pick it up and, weave it into the next question for another person. So yeah, I struggled with that a little bit, but then I started writing while being in those sessions, which is not such a good idea because sometimes you end up focusing more on writing your own notes rather than listening to what the other person is saying. So, but yeah, that was, thankfully it was for a short period of a few months where I think COVID side effects were happening.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think, Ramesh sir, I'm sure that answer would have been up to your expectations because, after all, it's come from someone who's the expert in this space. And like I shared earlier in one of my posts when I was introducing this conversation today, immense respect for live TV anchors because there's no retake, right? Yeah, you've
Now
got
you
to
are
have
one.
it.
Now you
Now
are
I'm
one.
one, and still learning from people like you. Hopefully, like you said, with practice, I'll improve and grow, and that's the objective. But yes, I mean, great getting these insights from you. The comments, questions keep flooding in, so I just want to remind people that just drop them in. We still have another good 20 minutes or to go, so Mridu has been kind enough to answer some of those questions already. Let me pull up another one which is relevant. And here's Stefan, who's asking, for some individuals, particularly those who might be introverted or come from underrepresented backgrounds, projecting confidence can be a challenge. Can you offer any specific strategies for building confidence and overcoming self doubt in the context of executive presence?
Yes, a very pertinent question. And a lot of people have this misconception that uh, introverts cannot have good executive presence. So I want to bust that myth right here. Being an introvert or an extrovert actually just means where you derive your energy from. An extrovert will derive more energy from people interactions. You are
Okay.
social, you get energetic when you talk to a lot of people. Your energy comes from crowds, your energy comes from a lot of conversations. An introvert draws inward for energy. They like calmness, solitude, being by themselves, listening to their music. They like to focus within themselves before a public speaking activity. And that's where they derive their energy from. So, introvertedness or extrovertedness does not relate to public speaking. Don't let anybody tell you, if you're an introvert, that you cannot have executive presence, or you cannot project confidence, or you cannot be a leader. Introverted leaders are actually some of the best leaders in the world because they have this innate capacity of being able to listen more. People who are introverts will not talk much, will listen more. They are very, very sharp with active listening, and that is their biggest strength. So, anyone who wants to build on that strength is an introvert and is a good active listener. What you can do is, firstly, to start being more confident. Because you're an active listener, you would have listened very well to what the other person just said. So pick up a few key points from there and start building on those instead of starting a whole new conversation and thinking, oh, how do I go about this, how do I be confident? Add on to what the other person is saying. That's number one. Number two, if somebody if you're dealing with an extrovert who is talking a lot and not giving you a chance to speak, wait it out patiently and try and practice a little bit of assertive communication. I'm not saying be rude, be polite, but be firm. So, if somebody is continuously talking for, say, 4 minutes and giving you a long monologue and not allowing you to speak, be gentle but be firm and say, hold on. Can I just add to that? I have a point of view on this. Let me just finish my thought and then we can continue. So, find a point to interject, make your point, and build your confidence step by step in that manner. You don't have to be as gregarious as an extrovert. You don't have to be super high energy. It is often said that the most powerful voice in the room is the softest one. So,
Hmm.
being gentle, being soft, and being calm are your strengths. Use those to your advantage.
Super. In fact, Bhaskar has a point to share and a question rather, which is in line with what we've been discussing thus far. Is that besides practicing, how does one overcome fear of speaking to an audience?
Okay, so firstly, nothing happens without practice,
Mm.
so you can't get away from that. But I think the journey begins by identifying what exactly is your fear. So let's say I'm scared of being on the stage. I'm scared to speak in public. Let's break that down. Are you scared of actually being judged? Are you scared that technology is going to fail and you will not have your slides and you will not know how to take your presentation forward? Are you scared you will blank out? Are you scared that you are going to have an anxiety attack? It could be any fear. So, first thing is to identify, self evaluate, what is it that I actually felt when I was on stage last time, on stage or in a presentation or in a conversation, high stakes meeting. What is it that didn't work for me? Which fear was it amongst all these fears? Now, let's say we identify I have a fear of blanking out. Now, rationalize that fear. First, rank it on a scale of 1 to 10. How do I rank my fear of blanking out? And my mind says 9 on 10. I put a 9 on 10. This is ranking on the basis of likelihood of this happening.
Okay.
Okay, how likely am I going to go? Is it that I will go blank in my next speaking activity? I give it 9 on 10. Now rationalize that ranking to yourself. Is it true that I actually blank out 9 out of 10 times? Chances are that you have exaggerated this in your mind because you recently blanked out. So
Mm.
that's a recency bias inside your mind. Maybe you blank out 3 out of 10 times or 5 out of 10 times, but you gave it 9 on 10. So, firstly, rationalize that. Is that really true? Maybe not. Maybe 7 on 10 or maybe 6
Mm.
on 10, right?
Mm.
So, that immediately first disempowers that fear because you've identified it, you have rationalized it. Now, build a contingency plan around it. What can I do to avoid blanking out? Or what do I do if I blank out? Let's assume I'm going to blank out every time on stage. What is my contingency plan? Maybe I can repeat my key message. It fits everywhere in my presentation. Maybe I can repeat the last few lines in different words. I can paraphrase it. Maybe I can throw in an example. Maybe I can throw in an audience question. The whole idea is to buy a few moments for yourself to reorient your mind and come back to the present because you don't blank out completely for an hour. You blank out for a few seconds, and those few seconds feel like a million years on stage, but it's actually just 3 to 5 seconds. And you can even just take a pause, or you can say that, keep a glass of water handy and say, on that
Mm.
note, while you ponder over this thought, I'm going to just take a sip of water and then we'll move forward. Nobody in the world is ever going to mind or have an objection to you taking a sip of water.
Superb.
So use any of these tricks to basically deflect the attention from yourself for a little while. Because what immediately happens when you blank out is you start having anxiety. You start thinking, oh my God, I've forgotten my content. What was I going to say? Oh, this is going so badly. These people are judging me. They're never going to invite me to speak again. All this is running through your mind without you actually thinking about these things. And you are reacting to that. So, buy a few moments somehow, deflect attention from yourself. And yes, when you go off stage, please practice. You can't do away with that.
Thank you so much for that, Mridu. And I feel that I could relate to some of what you shared, but at the same time, what really stood out for me was the fact that we the normal terminology that we use is the art of public speaking, but it seems almost that you've converted it into a science as well. And in this workshop or this program that you run, I think you've kind of know exactly what are the levers, what are the pitfalls, what are the opportunities, and what are the solutions for each one of them to help everyone scale up. So really, really insightful listening to you.
Thank you.
Another
No, it's
memory.
absolutely a science. It's absolutely a science, and every challenge that anyone feels can be broken down, and there are solutions, there are tools, there are tips, there are frameworks, there are practice exercises that people can do to get over any kind of fear that's holding them back. I think that the journey just lies in identifying what's not working for you, why, what problems you're facing, and then mapping out a very individual and personalized journey to help you reach where you want to be.
Superb. In fact, as we move forward, just want to highlight a few comments here of some of our lovely community members who are dropping in. uh, and this is a comment which really touches the heart, where someone is Hemant is has having his son listen in, 70-year-old, wish
Sweet.
him all the best in his career and his future endeavors. uh,
Absolutely. All the best to your son, Hemant.
we
All
have
of you.
Vipul, Gopal, number of such comments coming in. uh,
All achievers in their own right. I should say that I'm in great influencer company today.
uh, no, I'll take that compliment.
Thank you. Thank
And
you. You guys are amazing. I love what you do on this podcast and on LinkedIn. Your content creation is simply amazing. I'm always learning from you.
thank you, Mridu. But this show is not about me; it's about you, and it's about our people. So we'll quickly fast forward. Uh, Srinivas Prasad has a comment question. Let's just see what he says. Are the new generation missing the skill strength of written communication? Though maybe they may be good at verbal, as I think one has to be really good at written business communication as well, to in order to express with clarity. Any thoughts on this?
Thank you for bringing this up, Srinivas. I absolutely agree with you that people don't focus so much on writing anymore. And to me, that is the first building block of what you're going to say. How can you speak before you know how to write? When you can't structure your thoughts properly, when you can't put them down for yourself or for other people, how are you going to speak? It's not good enough to get a speech writer to write something for you and then go and deliver it. A lot of people do that, but structuring your writing is a process that can really open up doors for you as a leader in the workplace. The way you communicate with your teams, the way you communicate with your potential investors if you're an entrepreneur, the way you communicate with uh, clients, the way you communicate with your bosses, your top management, all of this is usually over emails, text, Slack, Teams, whatever other collaboration tool you might be learning using at work. You are not always just calling people and talking to them. You are
Mm.
most of our work gets done in written communication, and somehow people are not paying enough attention to that. uh, I do not understand why anyone who has even studied fifth grade English can be writing SMS language to top management and saying, how are you goes how, alphabet R, alphabet U. No, you are eroding your personal brand by talking to people like that. That is definite loss of your executive presence. And yes, the new generation is absolutely missing that skill of well written communication, because now we are getting more and more dependent on technology, and we think that we can write any rubbish and put it in chat gpt and it will fix it for us, and then we can send it out to the world. So so yeah, and Gopal says that as well. So use chat gpt to your advantage. If English is not your strong point, use it to help you build grammatically correct sentences, but don't use it for original thinking. And your written piece of communication is actually your thoughts. It is the structure of your thoughts. uh, don't outsource that to technology. Don't lose your individuality, and don't let chat gpt replace you, basically.
Very relevant. And I think this chat GPT bug has bitten all of us. The sooner we take some vaccine against it, the better, because, uh, like you rightly pointed out, Mridu, I think let's retain some of our individuality as well. And I think,
No, I'm very for technology. I'm very for Chat GPT also when it comes to ideation. You are stuck in a writer's block. You want some ideas. Let it, you prompt it well. You will get some nice ideas, but don't copy paste, and don't use that language. So I can tell you, I receive a lot of work for copy editing from my team. In the news channel, and I can figure out which part has been written by a person and which part has been written by ChatGPT. And I'll give you all a few clues when you see LinkedIn posts. If people are having symphony, tapestry, um, and what else? There are three or four of these words that ChatGPT loves to use. So the moment they are there in somebody's LinkedIn post, you know that person is not writing original thoughts. They are getting ChatGPT to write for them.
so I'll avoid using these words going forward. Thank you for that tip. But frankly,
Yeah.
yes, those have not been part of my regular vocab for sure. So
Yeah. So I mean, just write
Insightful.
like you talk on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Uh, Vivek agrees. As the adage goes, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Wow. Yes, of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Correct.
Varsha has a question as well, which I think we should definitely take, and always helpful to understand some others' journeys. So, what is that one takeaway from your career wins that you like our youth to get inspired with?
I think experiment and explore. So I took up media at a time when private news channels were just taking off in India. And I took it up not knowing what my career path is going to look like. I just took it up for the love of it. I went back to school 16 years after 16 years of WorkX to study entrepreneurship. Again, not with a plan to think I am going to turn entrepreneur or I'm definitely going to start a business after this. It's a subject I was passionate about, and I felt that this is something that I want to learn about. Even if I'm still in my journalism career after this course, at least I will have better conversations with entrepreneurs, with VCs, with startup founders. I will understand how a term sheet works and how financial modeling works and
Mm.
how marketing works for a startup. So I think that the biggest takeaway for me would be that don't be scared to pivot. It is never too late to learn something new and add on to your skills and to pivot into something else. Again, with Mentorleap, I have pivoted a few times. I started with the TG of target audience of university students. And then I soon realized that's not my cup of tea. I'm very far removed from the university world. It has changed way too much since I passed out in the Indian context. And that's a pain point that I'm not really feeling in my bones. So working professionals, entrepreneurs, those are the pain points I feel because that's the stage of life I'm at. 10 years later, what am I going to be doing? I don't know. It could be completely different from what I'm doing right now. So don't be afraid. Don't get straitjacketed into thinking that your life is this one job or this one qualification that you have right now, because a few years down the line, things could completely shift for better or worse. So be prepared to be a little flexible, adaptive, and don't be scared to pivot.
Super. Thank you so much. And I am sure Varsha would be very glad to receive that answer. A question from me now, because something that I also wanted to understand, because the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. So, any specific case you could share from one of your clients, any success story where someone has significantly improved their executive presence with your guidance?
Yeah, so actually, I have two success stories, and both of them are diametrically different, but both of them are very close to my heart. So the first one is of a very senior leader with a big tech Fortune 500 company who she proactively reached out to me because she was going to get promoted to a C-suite role. So she wanted to build her executive presence, and she just reached out and said that I know that you do this. Can you just help me nail executive presence? So we got onto a discovery call. We kind of mapped out her challenges. There wasn't enough vocal variety. Sometimes she spoke too fast. A bit of structure, clarity of thought, and storytelling. So we kind of built a very personalized roadmap for her for the next 3 months. And we also wanted to train her for the media because she would soon be interviewed by journalists. So, what to say, what not to say, appropriate dressing, confidence building techniques, body language, all of that we worked on over 3 months. Now, her story is dear to me because she is someone who came to me when she had 18-hour work days, two teenage kids, home responsibilities, a crazy travel schedule, and she made time every single week because she had this singular focus that I'm going to nail this before I move into a C suite role. Sometimes we did sessions at 7 a.m. because by 12 noon, she was going to be taking a flight and going somewhere else. So we consistently did this for about 3 months because she was very clear that this is something I'm going to make time for. So everyone who says that, oh, I'm too busy, it's an excuse. And the best reward of her journey to me was that a few weeks into her new role, she actually stepped onto the stage in front of 400 people straight away. And all of her global clients, all of her top management present in that. And she aced that talk. She sent me messages of all the feedback she was getting, people coming up to her and saying that, oh my God, why don't you speak more often? We've never heard you talk before. And that was supremely satisfying for me. And currently, she's in Spain talking. So that's
Wow.
how executive presence really opens up opportunities for you, because that was an event where all her management saw that, okay, she can talk really well. Before that, they didn't know that she could really take the stage and talk. And now she's consistently getting opportunities to talk. And the second example is of another woman who was a total opposite. She has never worked in her life. She was part of my very first cohort of Speak with Impact. And she comes from Amritsar. Always been a homemaker, never been to an office. So when she applied for the cohort, I was also a little surprised. And I asked her, I actually gave her a call and asked her, what do you want to achieve with this? Why do you want to join this? And she said that, Mridu, I really feel lost in my identity. I feel like I've lost all my identity to motherhood, to family, to taking care of everybody for the last 15 years. And I just want to find my voice and I want to build confidence. And I think your course is going to help me do that. And even I hadn't thought of it like that. And she put it out there for me. So initially, in the first few classes, the imposter syndrome really kicked in for her, and we did some one-on-one counseling for her on the side, because she would say that, in the breakout rooms or in impromptu speaking exercises, everybody else on the cohort is giving such exciting examples of meeting clients and their entrepreneurial journeys and
Mm.
investors, and I feel I have nothing important to say. So it was a learning experience for me also, to make her feel very included in the class. And I told her that, the program is about communication. It's not about your job or the lack of it. Doesn't matter who you're communicating with. Take examples from your daily life. If you are going to be talking at your son's 16th birthday, let's make that an impromptu exercise. If your father-in-law is retiring and you want to give him a speech as his farewell gift, let's talk about that. And try and start applying the tools that I teach in your daily conversations. So, whether it's energy awareness or emotion tracking or a bunch of other things that we talk about, apply them at home. It doesn't matter where you apply these techniques, they will help you in any case. And she went from being the most silent person in my classroom to being the person who sent me my first video testimonial talking in front of a camera. 6-minute video testimonial, very heartfelt. And I
Wow.
was just amazed. And to this date, that experience just makes me feel really, really warm and fuzzy, because that was really special to me. It was also my first cohort as a trainer, so so it meant a lot to me.
Beautiful. And in fact, both these stories, both life changing for the two individuals. That's what clearly stands out. So amazing work, them, Ritu. Really good of you. We have just a few more
It's
minutes left,
their
and
hard work. It's really the learner's hard work. I'm just there as a guiding light.
yeah, but you obviously played a very very deep role there, and I am glad that with each of these interventions, someone's life has improved, whether on the personal front or in the professional space. And I think that's the beauty of whatever you've been doing so far. uh, with just a few minutes to go, I just want to bring in our lucky draw onto the screen. Let's just see who's going to win this today, and here it goes.
Ooh.
Oh, dear Sahil Nair has won the draw this time, so he can expect a book from
Congratulations.
me very soon.
Yeah. Congratulations, Sahil. Amazing book. You will really enjoy it.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Cool. So I think we're almost at the far end. I do want to take one question, which is coming from one of our dear community members, Vivek Datta. I did see it somewhere on the timeline earlier, and here it is. Let me pull it up on the screen. Uh, it's also a new aspect of communication that we are facing, right, in 2024. So, what's your best advice to overcome the much rampant trolling culture that has pervaded deep in communications?
Trolling online, you mean? I guess. I'm
Correct.
hoping
I
that
would
nobody
assume yes.
is trolling in person yet.
Yes.
I think it's the best to ignore. You don't really have the bandwidth. There's so much else to do with your life. If I mean, just think of it like that. The other person perhaps has nothing better to do. Maybe they're unemployed. Maybe they're going through a rough patch in life, and all they can feel is hatred. That's why they're giving out hatred to the world. Because only insecure people, or people going through a tough patch in life, or people genuinely unhappy inside, troll other people. And normal, nice human beings don't really troll others. So if someone doesn't have the capacity to give another viewpoint its space, you keep that thought that, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the poor chap is suffering from something. Let it be. I don't indulge in trolling. Thankfully, touch wood, I don't think I've ever been trolled. Also because I never post religious, political, or any such comments anywhere, because I think those are perfect, given the times we live in. Those opinions are what actually get you into the trolling and the hatred space, because somehow the tolerance level of everybody in this country has really gone down, I feel. And no one has a middle path. You are either black or white. There's no gray. So and I'm a very middle path taking person, so I absolutely steer clear of controversial topics online. I would rather not share my peace of mind online. I'd rather share it in person with the person concerned. So yeah, that's my two bit. I can't say I'm very experienced on this front to be giving any advice. This is just what I follow.
And be the bigger person. I think that's what you're clearly saying. Thank you for that. Lots to learn from you, Mridu, for sure. And I think we've spent this 1 hour very, very productively. Thank you for taking the time out. I just want to end with this comment here by Ramesh sir, which kind of summarizes what I'm sure all of us are feeling after having interacted with you for this last 60 minutes or so. How you've built yourself is very clear from the way you're speaking, and definitely shows a lot of work. Indeed, there are no shortcuts. We are so happy that we got a chance to listen to you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you everyone for joining in this week, and I'll be back next week once again with yet another very impactful individual to learn from. Look forward to having you join us. Thank you, Mridu. Really heartfelt wishes, and please take care. Catch you soon.
Catch you soon. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to this wonderful, wonderful participative audience. I wish we could have had videos on for everybody and had more face to face communication, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something LinkedIn should think about for the future.
Suggestion taken. We'll push it up the value chain. Thank you so much, and all the
Thank
best,
you. Bye.
everyone.
Bye, Vikas. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.